Hello, so good morning, guys, and I brought you here again in a borrowed place. It's abandoned from Odette, but anyway, that's not the topic for today. Well, tell me if you want a little tour around this, and I can go ahead and do that. All right, so there's a question that floats around the expats groups, and I want to start with it because it tells you a lot. A foreign man posted over and over again some version of the same thing. Filipinas, what makes you special? What do you actually bring to the table? Why should a man pay for the first date? And here's what many expect. They either expect her to get angry or to fire back the expected answer. But that's not what happens first. What happens first is she gets confused. She reads it like two, three times, and she genuinely doesn't understand what's being asked of her. And I'll be honest with you, years ago, that was me. The first time I saw a man ask what a woman brings to the table, I had no idea what that meant. What table? Bring what? I actually had to go and watch hours of manager videos just to understand a question that doesn't get asked around here. And once I understood it, I could see why many Pinays like me just stared at that question like it's written backwards. Because in her world, the roles were never a question. She was taught before she could even read what a woman is in a home and what a man is. He provides, she nurtures. He is the pillar, she's the light. So when a man asks her to prove what she brings, the question doesn't land as rude. It lands as nonsense. Because to her, it's like being asked to prove the fire burns. She just knows what's expected of her as a wife and mother. And that's a very innate skill that she has growing up. Now, let me turn to you, gentlemen, and I want to be fair here, genuinely fair, because this next part matters. That question isn't stupid, and the man asking it usually isn't cruel. That question is a scar. Because back home, the deal really did break, and I'm not going to pretend it didn't. A whole generation of men were taught or were told the same thing: provide, protect, pursue, lead, carry it all. And a loud part of the culture turned around and said, a woman just needs to bring herself, show up, and the man should worship the ground she walks on. And everything else is your job, sir. And it didn't stop at the bills. So many men will tell you quietly that the closeness they were promised, the intimacy that should come with it, vanished the moment the papers were signed. The marriage became a contract with none of the warmth it was supposed to come with. So this man, the one asking what you bring to the table, a lot of the time he got burned badly in a market where the honest answer to that table question really was less than before and don't ask. He's not asking to insult her. He's asking because the last time he didn't ask, it cost him his house, his kids on weekends, and 10 years of his life, for some, even 30 or more. Hold on to that because he's not the villain here. He's just carrying the wrong manual. And here's the whole thing. Here's what's actually happening when these two people collide. They are running two completely different operating systems, and neither one knows it. His system, the modern Western one, the one that broke, treats love like a plain transaction. Everyone itemizes, everyone keeps a receipt, keeps a score. And what do you bring to the table is a perfectly fair question in that world because the trust is gone. And when trust is gone, all you got left is the invoice. Now, her system, the traditional Filipino one, treats love like a role. He builds the house, she turns it into a home. It was never two halves competing to see who brought more. It's two loads holding up one roof. Take out either pillar, the house doesn't split 50-50. It falls down or the lights go out. So, watch what actually happens when he asks her to itemize. He thinks he is being smart and clever. He thinks he's screening her. What he is really doing is dragging a broken system into a place where the old one still works and asking her to audit a deal she was never running in the first place. And here's the line I want you to really think about. You came all this way for a traditional woman, right? You found one, and then ask her to be a Western one. Make up your mind, please, yeah? So let me actually answer the question because it does deserve an answer. Real quick, if this is landing, give it a like so it reaches the person who needs it most. And if you want the receipts on how the Western deal broke, go watch episode 1 after this. It's the whole reason we're here. All right, back to it. So, what does she bring to the table? She brings peace. She brings loyalty. She brings the difference between a house you share and a home you come back to. There's an old line here: the man is the pillar of the home, the woman is the light. And it's not decoration, it's the actual job description. And the thing those angry threads kept circling without ever landing: the right woman doesn't drain a man, she adds to him. Choose well, and she grows what you have. She doesn't spend it down. That's actually your biggest tell if a woman is good for your heart and soul and your finances. But now, listen, because I am not going to sell you a fantasy. That's not this channel, okay? This is not every Filipina. This is a woman who was raised in it and as a grown adult chooses it. That's rare and it's getting rarer. I was raised by a woman like this. My mother put her own needs dead last every single day so that everyone else's needs are met. I watch what it gave our family, and I also watch what it cost her. So, hear me, gentlemen. A traditional woman is not a maid you don't have to pay. That peace she brings is not a service you unlock with one dinner. It's a partnership, and it has to be earned and matched and protected. Now, the man who hears all this and thinks, great, I'll just go buy the obedient one. He is the exact man who will take a woman like my mother and wring her dry. Don't be him, please. And now here's the part he doesn't see coming. The man who asks, what do you bring to the table, has just told her without meaning to that he can't afford what she brings. Because everything she's offering runs on trust, not receipts, trust. And the second you itemize her, you've shown the ledger is still open. You're still auditing, and a man auditing cannot receive peace. It's not possible. You'll be handed loyalty and spend the whole marriage counting your change. You'll be given a home and keep checking the locks. So here's the tell, and it's a hard one. The moment a man asks a Filipina to go 50-50 on the first date or ask her what she brings to the table, he thinks he's testing her. He just failed his own test, actually, because he's told her everything. He counts every peso. He doesn't trust the deal. He leads from a spreadsheet. A man who can actually provide, who's actually secure, never asks this question. It doesn't even occur to him. So the asking, that is the disqualification, an immediate turn off for her. You said you wanted a woman who brings you peace, right? But peace is the one thing you can't buy, can't audit. You can only become a man safe enough to receive it. And the question proves you're not there yet. Now, us Filipinas, because we are not clean in this either. So let's not pretend, yeah? There's a type of answer I saw again and again from our side, and I need to call it out. The woman who fires back with pure attitude. I am the table. I am exotic. I am rare. Ask what you bring. Girl, that is not the flex you think it is. That is the exact same transactional energy you're supposedly angry at. You've just put a crown on it, princess. If your entire answer is your face and how rare you are, you didn't refuse his game. You joined it. You just moved yourself onto the menu. Bring the piece or admit you're playing the table game too. And there's a second one. Some of you have quietly started importing the Western script. And look, I'll be honest, That way of thinking is gaining ground here more every year. So now a man asks what you bring, and you gave him the canned answer you picked up from TikTok. A woman brings herself. She is the whole table. You can't have it both ways, girls. You can't ask for the traditional man's devotion and hand him the Western market's terms and then act shocked when he starts treating you like the market. You don't get tradition a la carte. Pick your system and be honest about which one you're running. So here's where I pull the trigger, and it's for the both of you. Gentlemen, stop asking what she brings. Ask what you're building. Because that question was never a filter, it's a confession. And if you still need to ask it, you are not ready for what should have given you anyway. And Pinais, stop performing the answer, yeah? Leaving it is the answer. The woman who has to announce what she brings to the table usually isn't bringing any in it. Because here's the whole thing in one breath. In his world, love turned into a transaction because the trust ran out. In ours, it's still a role because the trust is still here. And the real tragedy is the man who flies 10,000 miles to escape the first one and then can't put the calculator down long enough to live in the second. So today, one question each. Gentlemen, if she paid for the whole first date and then looked at you and asked what you bring to the table, how fast would you be out of your chair? Sit with why that flips your stomach. That feeling? That's the feeling you've been handing her. And girls, if a man never once asked what you bring, would you even notice? Or have you defended your worth for so long that a man who simply assumes it now feels suspicious to you? Tell me below and be honest, yeah? And tomorrow, good Filipinas and why finding one is getting harder than ever. And no, it's not the reason the internet keeps giving you. So come, walk with me.